So at this time, I can invite my guests and I can go live.
Hello,
Bam.
hello.
Oh my, this is going to be fun. This is going to be so much fun. This is going to be so much fun. So we got a minute to spare. So as I said, everyone who's in the room, share the live to as much people as you can. Let's bring in a lot of people because this live is going to be awesome. It's going to be, informative. It's going to be, very much out of this world because trust me, every guest so far has been knocking it out of the park, and my guest tonight is going to be no different. No different. So let's see how much people we can get in before we hit this off. All right. So share those as much people you can, and let's get this rocking.
Yeah, I'm going to share right now.
All right, lovely. So when the clock hits 8, we will get it running.
We will have fun.
Oh hell yes! It's a round table. We always have fun. All right, so it's 8 o'clock. So at this time, good night, everyone. Vanakkam, Namaste, or Sitaram, and welcome to the 10th edition of the Round Table, where, how ironic, it is Friday the 13th. And how ironic, my guest on this special is no other than Saralyn. Saralyn, who is a very powerful, knowledgeable individual when it comes to the stuff she does as a practitioner, a very intelligent individual. She and I have had many of conversations, and she has blown my mind with the amount of knowledge she holds. The first time we met, I think I kind of rubbed her wrong in the aspect because she mentioned a word to me that kind of triggers me off, which is tantra or tantric. And I honestly didn't think that she knew much about the aspect of tantric worship. Me being foolish thinking because what? She was a Caucasian, she was a white woman, and it was in my blood. But she floored me that night we met, and she settled me. And since that night, she and I became best friends. She humbled me to the point that, I did not know people in her family would take me on, and there was a live that she said I came in. I think Pika had a live or something, a morning.
It's humble.
And humble. And I came in to the live and I was floored when she told me my husband was just there. And the minute you walked in, he was like, "Who's that guy? That guy just changes everything when he walks into the room." And I was like, "Me? What did I do?" But that was something that humbled me and floored me. But other than that, woman, you have been a pillar of strength when I needed help without asking about on certain things. You picked up on it and you came in. And you called me like a sister or brother. We discussed the stuff that you told me. You were unsure how to bring it across, but you did. I accepted it well because it was something that I took as a concern. And I did not think twice. I acted on it as soon as I got it. And there was a lot of dramatic changes. There was a lot of calm to the storms, whatever would bring, and everything. So for that, I thank you. So tonight, everyone, we're going to sit with this individual that I consider a friend, I consider a sister. How ironic, my dear, you are not just on TikTok. You are being heard on live stream on Facebook. They're seeing me, but they're hearing both of us when we discuss. When we talk, they're going to hear both of us. So you're on 2 different platforms. And after this live has been completed, it would be uploaded to my TikTok page, which is Tantra Child. It will be uploaded to my YouTube page, where those who missed it would be able to view it from that point in its entirety, not pieces, the whole live. Right? So let's get into it one time. Right? Tonight, I want to sit down, not just with saralyn. I want to sit with the person. And when I say not just saralyn, because I know that is who you are, right? Is what you who we see, who we get. That's who you are. But I want to sit with the person behind the TikTok page, the person that we don't get to sit with much. I want to sit with the person with, who has gone through the trenches. I want to learn about your upbringing. I want to learn about your spiritual awakening and those things I want to learn. So I want to sit with the person behind saralyn. All right. So if you can indulge us about, where you were brought up, your life experiences coming up, leading up to where your spiritual awakening would have happened or would happen.
I came into this world very awake already.
Nice.
It was definitely a struggle in childhood. I didn't know a lot about energy at all. I was a child. I didn't know it. I made my mother very, very ill. My mother, for a long time, couldn't be around me very frequently at all. So my aunt kind of did a lot of the care for me when I was. This is when I was an infant,
Right.
very, very, very young. And my aunt also took care of my grandmother, who was very elderly on my dad's side. So it's my dad's sister and my dad's mother. And the very first things that I remember her telling me, my grandmother,
Right.
was be very careful not to pull energy from other people. That's what I was unintentionally doing. And they taught me from a very, very young age the energy aspects of things. Now, my grandmother was native, so my aunt was as well, and my granddad as well, but he had passed the year I was born. So prior to me being born, he had passed already. And I would sit with my grandmother for hours, even as a baby. I always remember everything from the time I was real young, but I
Right.
do have a lot of memories from that time frame, and they're always with me, sitting and talking with my grandmother and my aunt. And when I was in my 20s, my aunt and I were just having a candid conversation, and what she revealed to me was shocking. I had no idea. Before I was born, my grandmother had had a stroke, which rendered her incapable of talking. And I'm like, how? Because I'd always spoken with my grandmother. I know what she sounded like. And
Right.
my aunt at that time had told me, she goes, I know you talked to her. She taught you a lot of things. I would go and, get things that she would have and she would want around the house, and she would teach me how to do things. She's the person that taught me how to read cards, but she didn't have tarot cards. She read them with normal playing deck of cards. And so from the time I was a baby, a child, she would teach me these things and work with me, and she would tell me about herbs that she would find outside, but she couldn't really go outside because she didn't have the capacity to do that. My aunt later taught me about a lot of herbs and stuff in that nature. And I grew up in Pennsylvania, in the hills of the Appalachian Mountains.
Hmm.
That's a lot of my heritage. So a lot of my heritage that I was actually readily taught. They didn't really teach a lot on the native aspects because it was very taboo when my grandmother was raising her children. So she
Right.
wasn't super in touch with it at that time because she chose, to make her way in a society that was predominantly white. So she had to kind of fit in. And so that was a struggle for me in my 20s, getting back in touch with that lineage, that heritage, because it wasn't something that was readily available. Now my grandmother on my other side, I lived next door to her for a good portion of my life as well, and she was from Ireland and
Uh-huh.
has Irish and Scottish roots, so I got some of that as well, although they were predominantly Catholic. But she had stories that her grandmother told her, and and I didn't realize that they were more than stories until I was out of my grandmother's house. And so you look back and you reevaluate all of those stories that she would tell you from, like, that her grandmother told her from Ireland, about fairies and about all different types of, creatures like that, and the banshee. And I didn't realize that they actually had meaning behind them until I like found some of them and read them and some of the Celtic lore. And I'm like, my grandmother told me this story. And you realize that it has much more value than a childhood, bedtime story.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time with grandmother, she passed when I was 6. And then on my mother's side, I spent a lot of time with my grandmother and my grandfather. And my grandfather was a gardener. He grew up on a farm when he was young, and although he had like a business style job, the entire his entire working period, other than when he was in the military, he always had a very large garden, and by large, it was over an acre big. And
Wow.
we would always be working in it. I would work with him on the weekends and after I got out of school. And he was a very charitable man. So every Saturday, he would clear his Saturday and he would go out and visit different people in the community that were older or sick or couldn't get out. Some of them were family, but to him, he always introduced them as family. They were always a cousin or something. Even if
Right.
we weren't related, they were always just introduced that way. And my sister didn't go with him. I did. I went every single Saturday with him, with the exception of a few when I was older and had other commitments. And we would go out and we would just do that. And we'd visit with the people and then he'd visit with them. And I'd go out and just like, wherever we were, I'd go out and play in the yard, or I'd go out. Some of them, one lady that we visited fairly frequently because she had cancer, she had beehives. And I would go out and I would work, put on my bee suit and, collect the honey for her because she couldn't. So I learned to do a lot of things. Some of the people had goats, some of them had chickens. So I learned my way around these things by myself because there was nobody really to teach me.
Right.
And I learned a lot. Sometimes we'd have like farm hands and stuff that would come over and I'd learn a lot from them. But it was very interesting. I was very, kind of popular in school. People liked me, but I was very different. And I think if I had grown up in a place that was bigger, I grew up in a very small town, I think my life would have been very different. I don't think I would have been accepted, but because I was, that taught me that it was okay to be different and I didn't have to fit in a mold. And I've kept that with me my entire life.
Wow. You mentioned earlier that, that when your mom had you, your mom had some difficulties in aspect, you know, and I don't know, the first thing popped into my head is the story of, Lord Hanuman, because when he was in the womb of his mom, as much she was glowing, she had issues to keep him with him being there. Not as like he was an issue with her, with his energy, is that because he was foretold that he would be a very powerful individual, because Lord Hanuman would have been no other than Lord Shiva incarnate. Right, that's avatar of Lord Shiva, and they were individuals that knew that if this child would be born, he would he would change how should I say it? He would change the things around. Right, he would change how things were, and there was a king called Bali, and Bali decided, well, if this individual is going to change the paradigm, I don't want this because I want to keep things the way I want it, and he tried to have Lord Hanuman's mother, which was her name was Anjani, to have a miscarriage. So he mixed 5 different metals: silver, gold, copper, zinc, whatever. And he mixed it in a liquid form and he gave the mother to drink it. And she drank it because he told her, by drinking this, you will protect your child, it will make you feel healthy and strong. And she did it because why? She wanted the best for her child. That didn't go good. It started to react with her. It started to act with her in that aspect of she started to feel very much sick. And the story goes that the metal did not cause her to more or less bring forth him, and as though she would have not an abortion but have like a miscarriage or something. It is stated that in the story that these metals change into jewelry. So when Lord Hanuman was born, he was born with earrings, chains, bracelets, you name it. Every metal changed into different aspects of jewelry for him. So when you said that, it's like I think I thought about the story, and the way you said that you were wherever he was, that an aspect. He was very auspicious. He was that person he was among great people that taught him great things. So when you said that, it took me back to his story. All
Oh, I
right. So,
appreciate.
hmm? So that kind of thing. So you learn a lot from your grandmother, and blessed that she taught you so much that you know. And I'm a grandmother's boy. When my mom died in '85, my grandmother raised me. So I know that aspect of being around a grandmother being around you, and yeah, teaching you things that other people will not teach you. Yeah, my grandmother was like that too. So I know how that is. But don't worry. That didn't stop her from, sparing the rod. You did something wrong, she didn't spare the rod and spoil the child. She cut my ass. Because the thing was that discipline was a thing for her. So as you were growing up, where did the aspects of your spiritual awakening kind of like really kind of like knock on the door in that aspect to you that you were about to open, to where was there, like some people say, like some people have their journey, it's not a smooth road. It's bumpy for a lot of people to accept that they're going to enter in an aspect of spirituality. Some people rebelled against it before they accepted it. How was your aspect of realizing your spirituality, you're actually spiritual, to having that spiritual awakening and accepting what comes with it?
See, this is kind of crazy
Hmm.
because so many people tell you about their stories of awakening, and it's like I don't really have a profound story like that because
Right.
my beliefs are very similar. They've changed very little in aspect from the time I was a small child, like 4 or 5 years old. I just inherently knew. Now, are there times in my life where I had an increase in my ability to connect and had to choose certain paths to go down? Yeah, when I was in my 20s, I definitely had to embrace it a lot more and make it more of a lifestyle than it was. Spirituality has always been a lifestyle for me
Right.
from as far back as I can remember. But in my 20s, I had to kind of step it up. And that's when I went and traveled with the Renaissance Fair for a while and did a lot of teaching and a lot of learning at that point. And it was all that I did in my life, aside from raise my daughter. And I had to
Hmm.
kind of make that commitment. And when I took a couple, made a couple choices about 4 or 5 years ago, I had to again kind of reaffirm that yes, this is my path, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. So there is
Hmm.
only forward or stagnancy, and we can't be stagnant. Stagnant results in, death. So we have to keep going because you can't unsee what you see. So have I had to come to terms with it again and reaffirm that spirituality is a course I take? Yes. But I wouldn't
Hmm.
say that I ever had a profound awakening in the manner that a lot of people describe it, because
Right.
I've always known it's always there. It was part of who I was from the time, but even before I can remember.
Wow. Wow. You know, I just had this before we continue. I just had this came to my spirit. I want to thank you for literally being on my live and saying these things, because me connecting with with Facebook, for a lot of people who are not on TikTok, right? I wanted them to meet a lot of different individuals that is on TikTok that have had journeys, because the one you're explaining, there are a lot of people on Facebook that has that similar journey. They have that, and by hearing your story, they get to realize, okay, I'm not alone. Somebody had that story. Someone had that particular same journey. So by you're saying what you're saying and you're speaking of it, it tells them that, okay, I'm not alone. There's someone else, and it gives them confidence to look within themselves, redefine themselves, and come out in aspect and show what they are capable of, what they're made of in this aspect. Because I realize that a lot of people don't give these individuals the attention, and they're looked upon in a particular way or shunned in a particular way. If you're not this, you're not into that. It's different in aspect, and a lot of people.
Yeah, when I was in my 20s, I thought there was something wrong with me. I was searching for that big awakening moment that everybody gets when your life like has that pivot where things get so bad you have to change the way you're doing them. I've never had that. And that to me was concerning at that time because
Right.
everybody else was having all of these great great experiences. And I had great experiences, but nothing as profound as what was described to me. So I was looking for something that was wrong with me. And I had a mentor in my early 20s, and he took me down and he sat me down and he goes, "No, your journey is your own. Everybody is going to have a different one. You may not have as profound as an awakening as somebody else because you came here awake. Your childhood, as much as you don't realize it, was your traumatic awakening. When
Right.
you were born, when you came in here and your mother couldn't, do what she needed to do at that particular moment. It that that was your awakening. You don't remember all the visions because you were a child. You were so young. And that made me really think about it, and that made me really sit with it and come to terms with, you know what, this is my journey. It's not anybody else's. My pivotal points are not going to look like yours. And that's
Hmm.
okay. I don't have to take that on. I don't have to look for something that isn't mine.
Very
And
true.
he was a great mentor. He passed away before I hit 30, so several years ago.
Hmm.
And it was very hard for me because he was the first mentor that I had that wasn't family.
Oh,
And it
okay.
took me a little while to uh, to come to terms with that because I started working with him when I was 19, and he by the time I was 26 he had passed. And I found another mentor who was female that I worked with for a short time. I learned a lot from her, but it was definitely more transactional on her end. She definitely wanted things that I was not aligned with. So we had to part ways. And then I found my mentor shortly after that I've worked with for the last 10 years. And we still have, to this day, have weekly, 3 to 4 hour long conversations. Um, a very, very great man. So, I mean, that's pretty much my spiritual path, how I've learned and cultivated it along the way.
All right. Nice. Nice. All right. Cool. So we have established that you are into spirituality and aspect. So if you could you share with us, right, what are some of the things that you are into, right? Or some of the things that you do and that you are able to share with us an
Yeah,
aspect,
I do. I have my path is definitely a little bit eclectic and a little bit different from most people's
right?
because I incorporate my heritage into mine, which is Native and Scottish and Irish. So I incorporate some of those aspects into it as well as some of my Native aspects as well. And I
Mm-hmm.
grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, so there's a whole big close practice on Appalachian magic that I
Right.
can't speak too much about. But I also incorporate aspects of my husband's lineage. My husband's Hispanic, so I work with Santa Morta. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't look at any being as a god in the sense that we would. They can make the same pitfalls that we have as humans. So to me, they're no more than a different being that has a different way to express than we do, a different expression. My path is very bound by underlying principles that are, the ruling bodies of what keeps us here on this plane and on other planes as well.
Right.
I do a lot of internal work. I do a lot of working with energetics, a lot of working with what we call energy.
Right.
I do a lot with healing. I do a lot with reading, both reading books and reading, cards and runes and a variety of mediums that I use to gain the information that I need to help people find their path. When I teach people, I don't project my path onto them in any manner. I help them discover theirs because the path that they have to walk isn't mine. And I recognize that, and that's okay. We don't have to be aligned in all aspects for me to teach you and guide you and help you. For my personal practice, I write everything down. This is just one of my books right here. I have
Uh,
probably 20 of these, and they're all like filled to the brim. And I keep notes on every working that I do, every spell that I conduct, every energetic healing that I do, everything all together. And I write it down. And I write it down so that years later I will pass these down to somebody. I don't know who that's going to be. It isn't apparent yet. Maybe one of my 7 children, maybe somebody that I haven't met yet. But these will come in handy because they're things that I did on a very personal level that had very real results for me. And, just along that, I work with other entities as well. I've named some of the ones that we, come and call deities. To me, they're
Right.
not. They're, entities that I work with, and they accept me for exactly where I am and exactly what I do. And we come to agreements, and it's very transactional, but also loving. I also work with other things that are not considered deities, such as dragons and fairies and things of that nature. They all have benefit, both to myself and I benefit them. I'm able to help them with things that they need on occasion as well. So it's very mutual.
All right. Beautiful. Beautiful. You said a lot, and it's like there's so much I want to take away. I want to break down from what you shared. So let me start with one aspect to then we go across. So you work with a lot of energies and aspect and so forth. Some that may appear in aspects of deity form. Some may not be an aspect, whatever. So for the young comers, those who are coming up, those who are now finding their path, and they may be struggling, they may be hitting little hiccups. We all did. All of us hit a plateau. We had, obstacles in our way. We stumble upon our way, and all the different. Some of us even flat on our face. That's the journey, right? It's a learning curve. What advice could you give to those who are now learning that aspect of working with different types of energies? What are your pros and cons to them that they can learn and apply?
Well, energy is just different frequencies.
Right.
We all have the ability naturally to resonate at a certain frequency. It's our birth frequency. It's where we're comfortable. When we're in, a decent mood, and we can shift frequencies, when our mood changes, when our circumstance changes, or depending on what we're doing. And it's increasing that level of frequency which you're able to go to and from, either lower or higher. That gives you the ability to connect with other things, with other beings, with other entities, and to do different workings. My advice is not to push it too quick. Sometimes it takes time. It takes years to develop the ability to raise to a super high frequency or a super low frequency. Both are necessary and neither is bad. It
Right.
is just connecting with different aspects. We might call them archetypes of humanity. And each archetype has very set beings that are connected to that type of energy. But you can't work with them if you can't go as high as they are or as low as they are. So it's taking time to sit and really get to know yourself, planning out your own thoughts, your own goals. What do you want to do for the world? And what do you want the world to give you? And it's keeping that very aligned, understanding self, what drives you. Why do you do the things that you do? And are they productive? It's a lot of self reflection, as well as listening to and taking the advice of everybody that comes into your life. It doesn't matter if they present as a student or as somebody that's walking down the street that you may never see again. Everybody has a piece to the puzzle, and it's connecting all of those pieces in totality that get us to where we need to be. And sometimes we don't realize in that transaction with that person that they have a piece of information we need. We might not realize it for 20 years down the road. And then we go back to that specific scenario and reevaluate it. So it's
Right.
sitting itself, making time for meditation and doing the work. You don't just talk about doing it, you actually do it. It's the lifestyle, it's who you are as a person. And if you're not willing to do that, then you can only go so far.
Very, very much true. Very much true. And I thank you for sharing that, because we have a lot of young practitioners who are coming up, and they are eager to learn. Some of them are eager. Some of them are a little too experimentative, but we all were there too. But some of them that I have had dialogue with, or those who have reached out to me and have dialogue, is that they struggle so much with elders. Some of the elders do not give them the time of day, and I have to admit, like, doing the round table, it has helped a lot of them because they get to see other practitioners and understand their journey, their struggle, their ups and downs, their pros and cons. And by you sharing this, it helps them to get a formula or get an answer to how to deal with what they're struggling with. Now, we talked about energy there. Let's talk about, you talked about using decks and so forth. As a practitioner using tarot decks and so forth, because I've seen I've seen you deal the cards, and trust me, you are smooth. I'll give you that, woman. You are smooth. So I would like you to enlighten us that as a practitioner who has a deck. How do you go, for those who haven't chosen their deck as yet? How do you go on that process? Is it like Harry Potter where the one chooses a sorcerer? Or in that aspect, do we have that? Or how do we go about that? And when we do get that deck, how do we connect with it? How do we maintain it in this aspect? Give us what are the fundamentals and essentials of getting a deck, choosing a deck, maintaining, connecting, and protecting that deck from different energies?
Well, that's a loaded question because there's no one answer. But it very much is. There's an old saying that says, when a student wants to learn, a teacher will become present. And it's very much like that with all aspects of anything spiritual. If you're very inclined to want to learn tarot, well, your tarot deck could certainly come from somebody else. They could gift you one. But
okay.
You might just walk into a store and you might just see something that you are struggling to walk away from. And it might just be the tarot deck that, you're going to start reading with. So there's no set way. But when you feel a connection to something like a deck or a set of runes, and you are struggling to walk away from it or put it down, that's a good indication that it's one that you should work with. There are many different ways to cleanse that deck. Mm-hmm. Some people, just do it energetically. Some people put it in a singing bowl. Some people smudge it with a sage stick or Palo Santo. For me, I just hold it and I infuse it with my energy, because what I'm doing is I'm giving that object a piece of myself so that we have a bond and a connection. Now, I read a little bit differently because of some of the other aspects of my belief and my specific practice. I can't have people in my specific energy space. So I use what's called proximal stone, which is goes in proximal magic. So when I call somebody into my space, I don't call them into here. I don't call them into my vessel. I have a stone that I connect directly to myself. And I call their energy into here so that I can reach in and I can touch it and I can connect the cards to the person. And that's a safety mechanism that I use for both myself and whoever I'm reading on, so that energy isn't cross-contaminated. Now, that's not something that everybody can or should do, but that is a practice that I specifically utilize because I do a lot of things that I can't speak of here on this plane. And if I did, people would
understandable
label me as crazy. But,
I know what you mean, but okay, cool. Continue.
But yeah, I mean, it's just finding those connections. When you are drawn to something, there's a reason. It's listening to self and listening to those around you that are guiding you. And those aren't always people here in the 3D world. Sometimes it's a dragon you see off in the distance, or Kali Ma that shows up around your corner. It comes in very different ways for everybody. It's not a one-size-fits-all practice. There's many different roads you can take to get to the same place. It's up to you to define what that place looks like and how to get there.
It's very much true, very much true. And I am so thankful that you're sharing this, because there are a lot of people that, need to hear these information, need to understand this in aspect, because and some people might say it's kind of redundant that I ask, because I have had other practitioners who do tarot, but each person different. They have their own formula. They have their own, the way, their style, the way they do, the way they roll the deck, the way they do their stuff. Like for instance, the part with the stone or the crystal. I didn't know that. That was something new. I was like, okay, that's different. But that might resonate with someone because what other people would have talked about, that didn't resonate with the person who now has a deck and they're finding it hard. They're hitting a brick wall to connect or to be able to tap in that aspect. So what you're explaining might actually work for them. So I am very much thankful that you're sharing those things with us.
It's funny that you bring up a brick wall. It's funny because that's been a repeating theme in my life for about 4 days now.
Right.
And it goes back to self-recognition. You need to recognize where you're at and what you're doing. If you're up against a brick wall and you keep walking into that brick wall, you need to do something different or you're going to have a bloody head. You're going to sit there and you're going to be like, well, why is my head bleeding? Well, it's because you're walking in the brick wall. So if what you have and the information that is presented to you at this time isn't working for you, you need to recognize that you might need to take a step back and find more information or do something different for a moment until that information presents itself. Yes. And that is sometimes hard because we want to jump into things that we like. We want to jump into things when we first feel that calling. But sometimes there needs to be a break. Sometimes we feel that calling and we need to jump right in, and then we need to take a step back. And it's recognizing that sometimes that is necessary for our path. Sometimes we want to learn and we find somebody that we can learn a great deal from. When we learn, and then we come to a point where it's stagnant. And that doesn't mean that the individual is a bad teacher. It just means that they can't take you on the next leg of your journey because they don't have what you need. And that's fine. It's fine to take a step back and wait for someone else to show up because they will. Every time that you ask for help, you will get it, but it might not come the way that you expect it to, and that's okay.
Very much true. Very, 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 very much true. I mean, for each one, the journey is always different. It might seem similar, it might have similar characteristics, but yet it is definitely different to each one of us. And thank you for sharing that in aspect. So, you share the aspect of working with different energies and utilizing the cards and choosing the cards. What are some of the things that you may be able to share with us for those who already have a deck and they have connected with it? How do they, protect the deck?
Well, I mean, there are methods of shielding a deck. There are a lot of different methods. For me, I use a combination of shielding techniques. Most of them are very, very complicated, but the easiest thing that you can do is make sure that your deck stays in a place that is physically safe. Make sure that you care for it. Make sure that you are putting your energy into that when you're doing the readings. And when you are connecting with people doing those readings, make sure you are actually connecting with them, allowing your energy and their energy to fluctuate so that you can be the conduit for what you are supposed to say. And sometimes that may be contradictory to what, the guidebook says that the card means. And it's always better to go with intuition, even if it feels like it's not what the book would say. Not everything in life can be learned from a book. So to me, it's listening to your inner self, because we have a higher self inside of us that we tap into when we want to. Sometimes we ignore that, and that can be problematic. For some people always ignore it, and that's fine if that's the life you want to choose. But when you've taken the steps to be more spiritual in reading, it's important to listen to those gut feelings, those intuition feelings. And they feel different than just, well, should I do this or should I not do this? It feels more driven than that. It feels almost like a compulsion that you have to say something. And sometimes we hold ourselves back from that. And it's learning to release it. It's learning to say it and let it go, even if it's uncomfortable. And that's the hard part, because that's usually what we want to hold back, the uncomfortable aspects. But a lot of times that's what the other person needs to hear.
Right. And I love that you went there because you cannot open a door for where the questions I wanted to go to, because we're talking about energies, we're talking about using the decks and protecting the deck. What, and I know that you would have been, a lot of people will want to hear this, that for a lot of people, new practitioners, even some of the older ones that struggle with this, but what I want to ask about here, how do they become still? How do they settle? A lot of practitioners are struggling with, that aspect of being still. They're like that leaf in the water, and however the stream goes, quick, slow, however the undercurrent pulls, so they're being moved mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, and so forth. What is your advice, for those who have a purpose and could be, helping a lot of people and want to help, but life is happening. Life is happening, and it's coming rapidly. They're like between the rock and the wave that continues repeatedly, that's crashing in, and hitting them. How or what words of what words of encouragement or what words that you can give them that would aid them to settle?
The biggest and best advice that I can give is meditation daily. And when you do meditation, it should be consistent. It doesn't have to be at the same time, but it should be every day for the same length of time. Because what we're doing when we do meditation is training ourselves to sit with ourselves. And if you're doing it 5 minutes one day, an hour the other day, your body and your mind isn't going to grasp that concept. So if you can only meditate for 15 minutes a day, that's fine. But make sure you do it for 15 minutes every day. If you can do an hour every day, make sure you do it every day. And when you're sitting in that meditation, you are teaching yourself how to be quiet, how to be still. And for many, it's not easy when you first sit with it. You may be sitting there in meditation. Oh, did I do the dishes? Did I walk the dog? And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You can do that. But when you have a thought like that, you need to remind yourself, this is meditation time. This is when I'm sitting with self. Worried about the dog, not worried about the dishes. And you kind of push that out of your mind. And then you may go back into, that meditation of sitting with self and self-evaluation. And you may have another thought that pops in your head, or you may hear the neighbor's dog making a noise. And you may be like, oh, that's the neighbor's dog. And you're just going to bring yourself back. And over time, what you do is you train yourself to ignore all of those thoughts, to
Right.
ignore all of those noises. And that's how you be still. That's how you sit with self. That's how you get with one mind. That's how you do it, one step at a time. And for some, it takes a week. For some, it takes years. And neither is wrong. What matters is that you are consciously making an effort to do it.
Right.
And you are making progress.
Very much true. Very much true. Wow. I admit the first 40 minutes has been intense. We got a lot of information. All right. So let's step away from that an aspect. I want to sit now with the persona of saralyn. And I want you to tell us, with all that was happening in your life, your spirituality, and you connecting with the different deities, entities, the different aspects of divinity, whatever they may be an aspect. How did that led you? How did that change your life in any aspect? And
Well,
how did that how did that lead you to TikTok, right? When you went with that, then I want you to tell me who is saralyn on TikTok?
that's an interesting question.
It is.
What they have taught me is probably the greatest lesson in life. I've been working with entities and seeing them, hearing them, experiencing things with them since I was a child. And what I have learned is that there is value in everything and in everyone. Every energy signature, every vibration, every frequency, every entity, every being,
Mm-hmm.
they all have value. And just because it looks like it's evil and it looks like it's scary doesn't mean that it is. And just because it looks like it's beautiful and angelic
Right.
doesn't mean that it is. And it's understanding that and recognizing that there is value in absolutely everything that is around us.
Right.
Sometimes that value may not be apparent. If I have a bad interaction, certainly that's not a decent thing that I want to have, but it taught me a lesson. And that lesson is valuable to me because I walk my life and I'm able to use discernment because I take the time to work with people, entities, beings, all the things, because I recognize that all of them have a value. And that's important. Now TikTok, that's kind of an interesting situation. I was on Facebook much before I was on TikTok, and I was doing lives and stuff on there. But TikTok or Facebook changed their algorithm, and I wasn't getting as many, views and stuff like that.
Right.
So somebody suggested TikTok, and at first I was opposed to it because I thought it was a whole lot of drama. But
Mm-hmm.
eventually I gave in and I came to it. And my persona on TikTok is no different than it is in my real everyday life. I am very much the same person. I'm very quirky. I'm very helpful, but I'm always at a distance. I'm always in the room and people always want to talk to me, but I'm always like almost like an outsider that's just sitting on just the outside of that ring. And that's how I am in life. That's how I am in every aspect of my life. And it's comfortable for me. And it's comfortable for those around me because I have the ability to fit in any situation, but I also have the ability to step away when it's necessary. And I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed through the years that it is necessary. For me, spirituality is the biggest part of my life, even above work and family. So I've learned that although I love my family, there are times that I need to step away from them. And there are times that I need to be there with them. But spirituality is always the forefront of what I do in every aspect for my children's health when they grow up, for my children's health now, for my husband's health, for my own health, for everybody else that I can help along the way. That's what's important to me. Making those connections and teaching them how to survive this humanistic experience with a level of care and understanding.
Right. Beautiful. 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 You know, my for me coming to TikTok was it was tedious. Yeah, there was there was a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of I did not know really the how TikTok was how TikTok moved in aspect. So when I came in, I was like, this is new. It was I was alienated to it, but I kind of like stuck around to see what were people doing, how they were doing, not just Hinduism aspect, but different things, and and that aspect. And it's like, okay, cool. And I started to do what I did, what I wanted to do, and I tried to do it I tried to do it different, so it was something new, it was something fresh, in aspect. It kind of got on, but some it kind of like got to some. It kind of like some people didn't really like it because it kind of like pulled away what they were trying to promote. But a lot of people accepted it, and it has become something of of a lot of respect. People like what I do and the way that I do my style and aspect. What I have observed where you and this is I'm leading this is leading up to you. I have sat in many of your lives, and you have known when I popped in. I would have popped in. I good night, whatever. I'll pop in live, and I sit there for a while and listen to what you're saying. Listen to the way you speak to people, and for me, it's so profound. Is that like when you're speaking, you're not just speaking to someone through the phone. It's almost like you're there with them, sitting right next to them, and you're having a conversation. You're literally there, and do your tone of your voice and all these different things. And sometimes I was like, when you use the filters and whatever with with your eyes, I was like, okay, that's interesting too. But what I've noticed that you do things that is so different from other people. It makes it kind of like takes away the apprehension from them. It diffuses them if they were like timid or whatever they may, and it gets them like to take you on, and it sets them to sit, and it's like interesting. And it's like you are there. You can literally like you the way you care about yourself is that you're truly understanding of where they are when they ask their questions. And when they pull the card, you are so in tune with the card and what the card is saying is that you're literally, like it's almost like you're holding their hand and telling them what they need to hear, even though it might be something they don't want to hear. But, like you're telling them in this aspect of love as a caring, it's like, this is what it is, fine, but it's not bad. It could be better, yes, but, this is only for a time. Let the time pass. This will change as it goes. And I found that so profound that you did that. A lot of people did what they did or do what they do as a work. It's a job. You give me the impression what you do is not a work, it's not a job. This is you giving back.
100%.
This is you giving back for all the things that you have been blessed with, that you earned, things that you struggle with, even things that brought you problems, brought you strife, brought you pain and agony and heartache. What you're doing is that I've been there, I know how this feels, and I don't want someone to endure this. I don't want someone to go. And the way you approach people and the way you do yourself is like, you know what? I understand. I've been there. And that for me is so profound, and I love it. I love it a lot. I think that is why I do connect with you in so much different levels, and I respect what you do. Because I said, a lot of other people do it as a work. It's a job. And it's like, that doesn't resonate with me. Because when people realize, okay, you're just doing it for the contributions or the offerings or the donations, like, okay. But when you're doing it to the point that you really care about this person and that person doesn't know you, you don't know that person, it builds a bond with you and that person to where they would open up to you and tell you things that they're not going to tell their own shadow. They're not going to tell their best friend. They're not going to tell their own family or their loved one in this aspect. And where you're able now, besides the deck, you can go into different avenues of what you do to help them weed out, clean out, cleanse, root out what might be there and help them get a different perspective on life. And I love that.
I do. I connect with people on a level that is beyond words. I can feel it. A lot of the experiences that people have had, I've already had them. I've already felt what it was like to go through them, and I don't want them to do it. I don't want them to do, not that I made any mistakes because I wouldn't change anything, but it can be an easier journey for them because of information that I can give them, then that's what I want. I want it to be easier because it is sometimes hard to walk this path. And if I can help you walk it a little bit smoother, that's what has value. And I have to say, I remember the first time I met you, and it was in Humble's Live. And I remember you coming at me a very specific way. And I remember, like, I didn't have my camera on, so you wouldn't have seen this, but I'm sitting there in my own head, and I'm just like, I know where he's at. I know why he feels this way. I know exactly where you're coming from. But I was captivated by your own energy, like literally captivated. I'm like, this is a person that I need to interact more with because I felt it. I felt that energy. And I felt that you thought I was coming from a very specific way, and I wasn't. And I recognized that. And I'm like, I can fix this. I will explain. And that's what I told you. I remember telling you, I will explain it. Let me explain. And you said, okay. And that's when you got it and it clicked. And the whole energy that you were kind of shifted. You're like, oh, maybe she does know. And that was this clarification that I knew where you were coming from at that moment. And that's why things don't bother me when people say a lot of negative things or when people, come at me a certain way. That's why it doesn't bother me very often because I can see where they're at and where they're coming from. And most of the time, I've been there. I've done
True.
that. So I can recognize where they are in their space and why they are acting in that manner.
True, true, true. I remember that live that and the topic of that, as we mentioned in the beginning of the live, is when you had mentioned tantra or tantric. And then this is me, stupid me up to that point, being naive, was like, what does this white woman know about tantric worship? Why people just love to throw these things here, there, and everywhere? They have no idea. And yeah, I honestly, I did kind of I was kind of stiff in my approach when you did, and when you did talk about it, it's like, what do you know? This and that. And you did say, let me explain. I've had experiences and whatever. And you did explain it in the aspect, and when you did explain it, it settled. It did shift the energy. There was a shift in the paradigm because what you did resonate. It a lot of bells going like, okay, and I was like ticking the boxes. Okay, yep, 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 yep. Okay, cool. She knows what she's doing. And you explained it's not like I was like, are you following that? It's like, no, I'm not following that. And you did go into aspect where you had conversations with individuals. I think this is where I think you were doing a study or research, and you were talking to an old guy that was in a temple or an ashram, and you were spending time and having conversation, and those
Yep.
are the conversations you guys had. So it's like, and you did explain, it's like, oh, okay, 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 cool, 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 lovely, lovely,
Yeah.
and
I had to
yeah,
write a
that,
psychology paper. I had to write a
yeah,
paper when I took an elective that was world religion. And it required me to go and meet somebody that taught at a different religion. Well, I chose Buddhist, so I went to a Buddhist temple and was connected with a wonderful guy. I only had to go once, but I continued going for a couple of years until I
mm-hmm,
moved away because it was such a pleasurable experience that we made it a monthly thing. And I learned so much from that. I knew it wasn't my practice. I knew I wasn't walking that walk, but he could give me a lot of
mm-hmm,
insight and information that could help me on mine. And he recognized that. Him and his wife, they were wonderful people.
nice. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I love that you explained. So at this point, we're going to shift a little in aspect. We will come back to certain things, all right? Because a lot of people have commented. I'm trying to read
Yeah, I'm
their
trying to read
comment.
it too, but there's a lot.
So there is a lot. So, but seeing that we're on the tip, like, okay, before we go, I go to the TikTok thing or whatever. Is there anything? Because for me, honestly, and for a lot of people on this live, you are a source of strength, resilience, encouragement. You are a lot of things to a lot of people. One particular spoiled brat in particular, we shall not call name, you and I know who I'm talking about, because she loves you to death. Right? Is there anything that you fear? Is there anything that you fear in aspect? Because for me, I don't think I ever came across or picked up that I don't think she has an aspect of fear. And no, understand what I'm talking about, and I'll be very clear. This has nothing to do with your personal life or your family life. So that's out of bounds. We're not going there. I'm talking about in your spiritual journey. I'm not talking about the family. On the aspect of your spirit, is there anything that you have come across and it's like, you know what, you stay there for now? It's like, I'm not ready to tread there. It's something that kind of like not ready for that because there's an element of fear or intimidation.
No, I mean, I don't have any fear or intimidation when it comes to anything spiritual at all. The only fear that I have that I don't do enough for others. And so I try to really keep that in check and I contemplate it with myself, but that's not really a fear. That's more of like a contemplation. What can I do to help others along their journey?
Mm-hmm. Right? Cool, cool,
Sarah
cool.
Lynn eats fear for breakfast.
Yeah, whole night he's been hitting us a lot of things. stuff like, the one thing from Harry Potter, Fight Club. Whole night he's been on a roll. I was like, what the hell, dude? He's been on a roll. So I can't wait until he comes up,
Oh yeah,
right?
that would be fun.
Right, that kind of thing. Because I'm thinking about something of a twist, but we see how that rolls. So let's get to TikTok. Let's get to TikTok itself now. You have been on TikTok. You are a practitioner. You are doing yourself. You're helping people. You are in not just a community. You're in a lot of community. Because trust me, I see you here, there, and everyone was like, this woman, she's like salt in the air. She's on this live. She's on that live, and this and that. All right, and so forth. You're in debates, and trust me, woman, I love it. I love it when you are ready to sink your claws into a debate. It's like, okay, she's ready to blow. Give her room, give her space. Because why? When you go, you're like a domino effect. You keep going, and you're bringing your points across one after the other. And it's like, they're not ready for this. Honestly, they did not know what they walked into. This is not fun. This is not fun. I was like, I could sit down and listen to you break down a topic because why? You literally dissect it bit by bit.
I'm going to
And
tell you that my favorite type of debate to do is anyone that Saul is involved in because we think a lot alike.
yeah,
And
no, honestly, no, no, true, you're true. Because I have
and when
seen
he,
both of you
yes,
interact. It's like,
and when he can't get the other people to understand, I can. And so we'll kind of take turns on, kind of getting at our points. And it is, to me, it is the most powerful message we can deliver because we help people when we're in these. Our
mm-hmm,
goal is never to prove the other person wrong. Our
right,
goal is just to open up their eyes to possibly seeing it a different way. And I think
right.
that is what is valuable.
Yep, yep. No, I understand that an aspect, and also, which for me, as I said, as we were talking earlier when we discussed, all right, when the checkmate comes out, when checkmate eventually hits, when I do the first one, and I decided to do within the first week of January, and I'm going to do it with Jordan, right? I think for that aspect of a debate, I'm going to incorporate the aspect of a wild card, which is a surprise guest. So if I know you and Saul has chemistry, oh hell yeah. Saul, I'm gonna pull a special guest who's gonna add to this topic and pull it. The idea that he's not gonna know who it is. I know who I'm gonna pull. That person I have conversed. Are you game? If you're game, okay, cool. Then I'm gonna pull you in the middle of the conversation. Let's see how it rolls. To really swing it into that aspect of a real debate. So I think checkmate is going to be some of that nature, and let's see, because there's a lot of awesome, juicy topics that we could get into, and everybody has their opinions, and trust me, it's going to be a ball game.
Oh, I
So
cannot wait for your checkmates.
all right, so we have that coming up. So as I said, you're on TikTok and you're doing your stuff and whatever. I want to hear from you because have asked everybody, and everybody knows I have asked this question. What is your pet peeve when it comes to TikTok? Because I said you have been in different communities. You are in different communities in an aspect, right? And you have seen a lot of stuff happen, a lot of things explode and implode on TikTok right before your eyes, or what we have more or less would have heard that happened, sooner or whatever. What is your pet peeve when it comes to the communities and TikTok?
My biggest pet peeve is when somebody in the room, and this happens to I see it a lot. It's not any particular person or anything like that, but they get so stuck on what they want to say that nobody else gets the turn to speak. And that sometimes is problematic because when you allow for an open dialogue, you can sometimes get what somebody else is saying based on what somebody else projects out there. But
Right.
if you're not giving a chance to talk, then it's problematic. And the other issue that I have is people take things very personally. And that when you are having a discussion on TikTok in a discussion forum, you shouldn't be taking it personally. It's not a personal attack. We're conversing on a topic, and separation between that topic and individual is necessary for growth. You
Right.
need to be able to separate them. Now, you need to have the ability to bring them back together so you can incorporate it into your life if you're going to change your ideology. But you need to recognize that most people aren't personally attacking you, even if it seems like they are. They are attacking what you said because they don't agree with it. And that is the biggest issue that I see on TikTok because they think that you are attacking them personally. And it's not ever that. I mean, even people that appear to be like, speaking negatively to a specific person, it's not the person that they're actually speaking to, it's what they said.
Right. True. An aspect. I know, JD, I know you asked a question about the checkmate thing. If I could steal a minute from the live, and I will ask my guest because this is her space. I'm just I'm just the host here. So checkmate, for those who know me personally, know that I love playing chess. Love playing chess in all aspects. When it comes to that, I even went to I went Canada this year, and I bought an X card. I saw a board, and I bought it because it was just awesome and beautiful. So the aspect of checkmate is where two minds are going to come together to discuss something or debate it. So the objective of checkmate is always a game of the mind. You're playing against your opponent, and you're making moves, and you are waiting to see what your opponent does so you can make another move. Sometimes you can make a move and you can push your opponent to make another move because you're pushing him in a particular way. So in aspect, you're always 2 to 3 moves ahead. So in short, you're controlling the narrative. You're controlling an aspect. So checkmate for me was this aspect of bringing two minds together to have a discussion about a particular topic. I have my pros and cons. He may have his pros and cons, or she may have a pros and cons. But in the aspect is how much that pros and cons is going to be executed. It will be a discussion, or it may turn into a debate because the way that person executes her answer or his answer may cause him like, okay, I understand what you're saying there, but it has this. What is your point? What's your perspective on this? And that is when it goes from one thing to the other. So that is what checkmate is going to be about, where we choose a particular topic and we are going to discuss it from my perspective and from their perspective and see where it goes. All right. So as you're saying, saralyn, we spoke about the pet peeve and aspect. What is your advice? What is your advice for the Discord? And part of my punt, I'm not talking Discord, the app, but what is your advice for the Discord that is taking place on TikTok among the communities?
I mean, that's easy. Be open-minded and understand that not everybody comes from the same space that you are. When you do that, you can recognize what they say at face value. And you can either choose to pour more information on it or choose to leave it right there. There's no need to really get upset over it. I mean, can we get in heated debates sometimes? Oh, yeah, I love passionate debates. But there's a difference between being heated and having that debate and being angry. And if you're walking away angry, do some self-reflection. Figure out what triggered you because something in there triggered you. And it's understanding that. Understanding why you were triggered and understanding what exactly triggered you and working on that. Because when you work on that, you understand and you control your triggers. Then other people don't have the ability to push those buttons. Right. And that's the most important thing.
Beautiful. And you're correct there. So at this point, I'm going to place you on a hot seat. So at this point, I get fun. I have my fun. So I'm going to call people that is in the community and that is actually in the live at this point in time. And I want you to give me your honest opinion. When I mention a name, what comes to your mind? It's not going to be a one-word answer. You tell me what comes to your mind, if they're a good person, whatever, your honest opinion about them. All right. So first person would be my friend, my brother, the spoiled brat, Jordan, Universal Theory.
He has a wealth of knowledge. I enjoy his spaces. He should get back on doing these lives because I really miss them. He has
Yes,
got
yes.
the ability to bring people together that have some of the greatest minds. I just, he has a lot of wisdom to offer,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of wisdom.
All right, cool. Um, the father figure in us, Alien T.
Oh, I love AT, and that's exactly what I think of him as. Alien T is one of the most caring people that you will meet, but sometimes it's difficult to see it. And it's difficult to see it because he gives everybody space and time to speak. So you have to really kind of weasel your way in to get any type of reaction out of him. But he definitely has personality that he tries to hide.
True.
We're on to
Fair.
you.
All right. So,
Oh, he is another great mind. He has got so much ability to discuss and understand. I wish I had his level of understanding. I understand a lot. He understands more. He is so much wisdom and he doesn't see it. So he's very, very modest when it comes to that.
hmm very much true. Very, very, very much true. His his aspect of his prowess of that of being patient is that I have seen people rant and rave and whatever, and he is just calm and cool as a cucumber, and is like, does the how do you press his buttons? What the hell? But he is so calculated and so cool. Jed is like, okay, all right, cool.
Yes.
Astro.
Oh my goodness. Astro and I have a very interesting relationship. We're both Sagittarius. So we're
hmm
super feisty with each other, but there's so much love. And he calls me out for my crap and I call him out as well. He hasn't been
Right.
live at the times that I'm mad because how often he goes live a little bit. And it doesn't fit it always into my schedule now because my schedule has changed a little bit as well.
True,
And I'm like,
true.
dang it, every time I want to go into your live, you're never live. But yeah, Astro and I have a very unique relationship. We definitely call each other out.
Yeah, he is one of a kind. Honestly, he is one of a kind.
Oh, I like his energy. I love it.
I love his honesty. It's some people may call it might consider it a little brutal. Some people might think it might be a little flamboyant, and it may be at times. But if they truly understand his passion, they understand his love and his aspect of wanting to help just like you, they would understand his truth. And once you understand these certain things about him, you realize that when he's telling you something that may not agree with you in aspect, is that he's trying to help you. He's trying to
Yes,
make you.
yes, it's a recognition of where he's coming from and why, and people miss that.
Yeah, very, very, very much true. Um, let's go to Robin, Soul's Journey.
Oh, I love Robin. She's so sweet. That like literally when I think of her, I think of like a lullaby like being sung. Like I catch her meditations every once in a while, not
Mm-hmm,
nearly as much as I want to, but it's like listening to a lullaby. Like a mother telling you a story that you can
Uh-huh.
just sit and listen to it. And
True.
that's like truly what I think of every time I see her. Even when she speaks in a live, even when she's not doing her meditation, she's just got that ring about her voice, and that's the energy that it brings to me. It's like
Mm-hmm.
she's just lulling me off somewhere and relax because it's all okay.
Right.
Oh, I was
No,
reading
it's
Robin's.
true. Yeah, I read it too because I did want to from my head that time. Like, woman, you are going to cry. And 20 minutes into the live, there she was pulling napkins. I thought I told you you were going to cry. So you has that. Pika.
Oh, she is so feisty. That is the number one thing that I think about her. But I like her energy because she is so caring. But she is feisty. That's the first thing anybody picks up on her. She's be a little feisty, but it's because she cares that she's feisty.
Yeah, yeah, very much true. Very much true. I have always called her my Harley Quinn because if she's a Harley Quinn, I am the Bat. I'm the Batman to that aspect of, you know, what we carry on and the community that you and I are part of. That set of misfits that we are a part of. That's Arkham City or Arkham Asylum. Right? I would say Alien T would be Two Face. We know Jordan is going. Jordan is actually, no, I lie. Saul is Two Face. Alien T is Penguin. The Joker is Jordan. Full stop. All right. The next individual that I'm going to call can be considered. I could put Robin as Poison Ivy. So the Catwoman to our team would be Humble. What's your thoughts on Humble?
She's very inquisitive. I like Humble quite a lot. Definitely reserved. She has a lot of questions, but she's very reserved in her mannerisms of asking them. She's definitely somebody that watches quite a lot.
True, true. What else we got? Beth.
Oh, I like Beth. She's another one that's misunderstood, though. I get what she says. I see it when she says it, but often it's misinterpreted. So I would say that Beth is very, very kind and caring, but often misinterpreted.
Very true. Very much true. Very much true. Pixie.
Oh, I love Pixie. She's super feisty. She is super she's always
Yeah, she
ready
is.
to, she's always ready to go bat for you, even when the bat isn't needed.
Yeah,
Literally, she is there swinging that bat, and we're like, dude, there's no need for a bat. Love you
that
though.
is, yeah. That is why I call her the Hellcat. Trust me.
Yep,
I call it the Hellcat. She is.
I love her. She's and caring as
Yeah,
well.
very much true. Who else we got? Who's the next set of misfits we have? Said. I will call some other names that I have interacted with some of them, but not entirely. So, well, no, one of them I have interacted with would be Cassie.
Oh, I like Cassie. Cassie's a lot like me. She's a little dark. She's got a little dark side, but ultimately she's a very caring person too. And she's not afraid to tap into that dark side. She's very sensual. She's very. Oh yeah, you forgot Azrael.
No, go ahead. You can say it. Not see that you mentioned him. Yeah,
But
go on.
she is very. She's a lot like me. Me and Cassie get each other on a level that it's sometimes hard to get people that get you on that level.
All right, cool. Sigma.
Oh, she's got very bubbly energy. I know it doesn't always seem that way when she speaks, but to me, she's got very bubbly energy. Even when she's not happy, she's happy. And she's just and at peace with where she is. And that I think is
True.
very
Very,
valuable.
very true. Very, very much true. Who is in the pack that I'm missing? Who am I missing? Saul, Jordan. Someone who I have my eye on as of lately since he popped up in his community, Eddie. And he now popped up on it.
Eddie-O is definitely the crazy one, but the crazy one that has all of the little knowledge bombs that are mixed inside of things that you don't realize they're knowledge bombs. I am profoundly intrigued by what he has to say. Sometimes he'll come up and he'll be like talking about something, and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And then he says the rest of it, and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting."
True. I've had since he actually appeared on the other communities that I know one or two people I knew one or two people from, and I have seen him held certain lives with that particular group. I have more or less have my eye on him, and sooner or later, him and I would have a meeting where I will ask him a particular question that I hope he will be able to answer. All right. So Beth is like, what
He's a
about
talk
that?
faster. He's a talk faster, or a fast talker. Eddie, sometimes him and I can get, we've been in lives where we were both on the same wavelength, and it's just like, and we're both talking at the same time, and we know what we're saying, but not maybe everybody else. But I love Eddie.
All right,
He's
cool,
got
cool.
beautiful energy.
So seeing that Beth is so invested in this life in every aspect, she's asking, so what about Tantra? So Beth, I would ask her now, what are your thoughts on Tantra child?
Oh, Tantra child. Definitely, he gives off the vibe of this is how things are, and this is how they are. Can't change my mind. When you get to know him, his mind can be changed because he realizes that that's the same thing. It's just presented a different way. He comes
True.
off as very standoffish, very somebody that you can't pass this line. But then once you get in, it's a whole different ball game, and he
True.
understands and gets you. That's what's kind of cool because how he originally presents himself isn't always how he is.
Yeah. Meaning up to that point, you must earn. It's like you have to earn your way. You have to earn your show your stride, show your worth, and so forth. It's like in Sesame Street, the old guy who used to stand up by the bridge, and he would ask you a riddle before you cross. You had to answer, what's a square, what's a triangle, whatever. You know.
I think of
So.
like Gandalf, and I think of you standing there. You shall not pass. And then you converse, and then you're like, okay, you can come,
No,
and
because
it's like
this
a
is
whole
good.
different change.
No, once you show your worth and you show that okay, you got what it takes, yeah. Let's okay, you're in. Let's come in and we can have dialogue
That's
because
exactly what it is.
yeah, we could sit down and have a dialogue. That doesn't mean if you say something out of context, I'm not going to school your ass. I will school you in that aspect. But yeah, it is like that in nature. Just to correct one thing, Cassie, my hun, my sweet. It's not O Father Lord, it's O Father Lord. So you're spelling father not as the English way, you're spelling father in a dialect, which is FADD A, as in father, and Lord is LAWD. So it's O Father Lord. All right, so you're doing it, yes, it's spoken in Caribbean dialect. So O Father Lord, it's not exactly that, but I understand where you're coming from. It's amazing how many people have taken what the hell, oh daddy Lord. Okay, that's not right. That is just Alien T got it correct. All right, oh daddy Lord, that just sounds so perverted and wrong. That is just wrong, wrong, wrong. That is wrong. All right, so at this point, right, my dear, I am gonna bring up your peers so they can express from their perspective of what comes to mind when they think of saralyn. Are you ready for that?
Sure. I guess you gotta be.
This is gonna be fun. First thing first, let's change the grid.
Oh yeah, we gotta do that.
Switch.
To allow people
I'll
up.
change the grid. All right. I would put you on the big box. All right. So I'm going to bring up as much as I could. So I'm bringing up you, you. Mm-hmm.
Look, it's all my favorite people.
Yep. How much I have so far? Well, how much I'm missing? Two more?
You get one more.
Let's see who can I bring. Do, 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 do. Let's see if she would come. All right, so Jenny says she can't come, so I gotta bring somebody else.
It's okay, Jenny. I'll forgive you.
Jenny says she can't come up, so let's see. Let's find one more. Uh, who do we have?
No, I think Sigma's in the comment.
Oh yes, there's Sigma. Yes, yeah. All right, so we got Alien T, Beth, we have Robin, Cassie, so we got Eddie and Sigma's coming up. So at this point, Mom, we are going to have your pairs starting with Alien T, going down Beth, Robin, Cassie, Sauce, Eddie, and Sigma, and they are going to state what comes to mind when they hear your name. At this particular point, there's a twist. Just because of you, because it's you, I'm going to add a twist. Each guest that is on the panel at this point in time would be able to ask a particular question that they have never asked you and they would like you to answer. Something by hearing you speak and the way you care about yourself that they have had like, I wonder. Something that they didn't know before and they would like to know. So after they have had they give you your flowers and so forth, they will come now with, that shocking or question that you may be able to answer. Are you okay with that? All right. Beautiful.
We're good
So,
to go.
all right. So we will start with. Well, he doesn't like to be called Penguin. He wants to be called Mr. Freeze. Alien T.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you for the correction there. I appreciate that. Okay, wow, this is first of all, I have to say you have an amazing guest tonight. I remember the first time I came across Saralyn. She came to my live. This is early on. She has been there from the beginning, and she kept catching me off guard because she would answer so quickly, but she would provide so much information, but it would be right to the point, and I'd have like a mouthful of Oreos or something, and I'd have to unmute. But my goodness, have I met anybody that knows more than Saralyn, and I include Saul in that? I would have to say no.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. And I'll tell you one thing. One thing about Saralyn is she's reliable, trustworthy, very gifted, very wise and intellectual all in one. Like wisdom and book smart, astral smart, spirit smart. She's all of it. I just want to say I really respect you, Saralyn, and much love to you.
Thank you.
Beth?
Y'all caught me with ice in my mouth. You just jinxed me. Okay. It was like I was saying in the comments, like Sarah brings that logic to the woo side of things, to the scientific side. She helps us understand things in a perspective where if she wanted to, she could meld that scientific woo together. And I love it. Like I look up to her a lot for her knowledge, her intellect, and the way she can put things into, for me, she understands me, so she gets what I'm saying when I get a little squirrely, and she can put it into an intellectual way where she can translate it to everyone else, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am for that, because not many people get me. You get what I'm saying?
Very much true.
So I love you, Sarah, and I am so appreciative of you.
Thank you.
Okay. Robin.
Hey, okay, I just want to apologize too because I was so embarrassed. I was like autocorrect on my phone. So, anyways, it was not disrespectful. So Saralyn is absolutely amazing. Like she is. I aspire and am motivated to learn more about so many things because of her. because I mean, the way she carries herself, the way that she like comprehends things and then can break it down, like Beth was saying, is like she makes me feel like I'm an equal and not just like some like, oh well, you don't know anything kind of person sometimes, like, you know what I mean? And I just she's an inspiration to me truly. And I I will admit at first I misread her when I first like found her. I was like, well, how does she know so much stuff? And I was jealous, and like then I was like I paid attention to how you would say things and what you were saying, and the things that I've gained from you have been absolutely tremendously profound. And I'm so grateful that I've had that pleasure of knowing you. And thank you. I would choose you as my Jeopardy partner in a heartbeat.
Well, thank you, Robin. Even though I always spell your name wrong. It's spelled check.
All right, Cassie.
Hey, Sarah. Okay, so like when I first like ran into you in rooms, it confused me a little because I wanted to not like you very much, and I couldn't figure out why or why I couldn't not like you, right? Like it wasn't making sense. So I have the ability, much like you, to play the long game, right? Like be the quiet observer for a long time. And over time, all your little gems and your little wisdom nuggets like would drop in my lap. And then they started adding up, right? And they would bring in these ideas of like things that I didn't remember or realize that I knew I wanted to know, right? And I was like, shut up. And so then I would see you in lives and you always have the answer. Always have it. I can count on it. I was like, ask Saralyn, she'll have the answer. And I even say that in other lives all the time when you're not around. I'm like, we should just ask Saralyn because she'll know the answer. She's our Google. She's our spiritual, alive Google walking person. And because I have such a searching mentality or always looking for like answers, I'm like, that's it. I love it. And so there was this like teacher's pet vibe I kept getting, right? And it wasn't you, it's me. Like I'm the teacher's pet. So some self-realization is always a beautiful thing. And so I just love you. I love all kinds of things about you. I love all kinds of stuff about your story. I love hearing all of your stories. And when you answer questions, not only do you know them, you answer them quickly, you answer them like full on, but you will give the detailed information about where it came from and how you know this. And it's all encompassing. It's the whole thing. And it's a beautiful thing. We all need that. And yeah, so I'm glad you're here.
Thank you, Cassie. And I've scrolled by lives and heard you saying, we should just ask Saralyn. So
All right.
Dolls
Beautiful.
are still creepy though.
Oh, I love them. They're my babies.
Tell them to stop talking to me. I'm trying to pay attention.
No,
I'm a child. And I get distracted easily and I'm like, ooh, but what are they saying? Hold on.
Let me take them out. Yeah, I saw you guys talking about it in the comments.
All right. Sauce.
Hi, no, thank you for having me, Mr. Tantra. I know we haven't really crossed paths.
Wait. Mr. What? Did he say Mr.? Dude. I could understand alien T as in Uncle Alien, Father Alien, whether, but no.
Guys,
No.
that old.
Yeah, you are, dude. You are that old. I've seen you personally. You are that old. All right.
My bad.
Wait a minute. Wait. Where's the guess?
Right.
He was frozen for a second. I don't know if her signal just kind of dropped.
You might have got a phone call.
Maybe. Let's see what happens. We will see.
Saralyn's laughing so hard she rolled right out of the live.
Right.
How to be. Let's invite it back. Let's see what happens here.
Oh, Father Lord.
Yeah, this is oh Father Lord. This is one of those moments.
That's really
She
what
do
I
not-
meant to put.
yeah, she does realize that she is the main person on the life here.
Right.
Man, that's such a Sagittarius thing.
Yeah,
Be the first one to dip from your own party. Like,
I'm presenting this aspect. For those who know, Guy Smiley, here's your life. This is TikTok version of this aspect. I was like, but where are you? Okay, I think this should be here. Let's see.
Well, everything happens for a reason. If I may, during this moment,
Yeah, go ahead.
can you please tell the truth about my age and how I look, please?
Okay.
Oh my
So,
lord.
okay, sure. Okay. All right, cool. I will. Okay, so before that, first let me get Sarah
TikTok
back.
just crashed. Like the app
Alright.
just crashed and it won't let me turn my camera on. I have no idea why.
All right. So before I dissect Source for calling me Mister, the aspect of let us deal with alien tea. For those who have watched Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, when he turned into Moses, when he went across the desert and he was coming back, the part when he comes down from the mountain with the 2 tablets, that's alien tea.
oh my God, I'm crying. I can see that too.
Okay, all right.
I swear I can see that. That's why in the comments I was like, wait, but how old is Jesus? Because I need to do the math real fast.
Yeah. Right. And the part that he gets a little stern because somebody is not playing well. That's the part when Moses throws the tablet to the calf and it got destroyed. Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's him.
I can see that.
Sarah, we need to see. Well, we need to see you.
Okay, let's move on. I give up.
Sarah, we need to see you.
It wouldn't let me turn on my camera a minute ago when I came in. I don't know if it will, but I'll try to.
Right.
TikTok has been glitchy though.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
been a bit.
Okay, now
This is why I was trying to ignore the doll. I'm telling you, it got weird once I mentioned it.
All right, so lovely. You look beautiful as always. So let me deal with Source now with this Mr. Tantra. It's like, dude, if you do not want me to be your worst enemy, drop the Mister.
Okay.
Drop the Mister. Because I will roll up in your life and call you Uncle Source.
Oh my God.
you probably laugh.
Right? And that will be an oh Father Lord moment.
Gotcha.
All right, so moving on. So Source, yes, you may be able. You can present Saralyn her flowers.
Saralyn, you're not go back for a while now, and so I love Saralyn. Like she's so cool. Like everybody takes her like at first glance. Everybody like takes her like this as a serious, uptight lady. I kind of feel maybe like uptight ruled sometimes. But when I see her, when I first met her, I used to always like tease her with this. There's this episode on Robot Chicken where it was like Sarah Lynn. It was like about Sarah Lynn and the food products, and they were fighting each other as women. And so when I saw her around that time, I had just finished watching those episodes. When I saw her, I was like, her friend was like, nobody likes Sarah Lynn. And so she's like, excuse me? And then we just bust out laughing after that moment. But then she's like you said, she's so smart, so wise in a lot of ways. I like to think her as a cool soccer mom. Like she's like that sister, that mom, that best friend that really comes around and helps out like when you need it. Like she's been a very valuable, like she's like a valuable asset in my life that I'm like in everyone's lives, as we all know this. But in my life, she's playing a very vital role in helping me become a better man and becoming a better person, and to be more organized and efficient, and be able to be more supportive and understanding of not only myself, but seeing the worth of myself as well, and to be able to like express it in the way that I'm doing it now, to where like, thank you, Sarah, like for being you and being like an awesome person and sharing your stories and sharing the vulnerable stories and vulnerable side of you, and allowing me to be able to gather more understanding within myself and my wisdom and knowledge, to where you've even helped me like so many ways, like especially these last couple months. Like you've been out of nowhere, you're taking so much time with me. Even before in the past, you would always pop in, dropping in some wisdom, some knowledge, and just, like you said, just getting straight to the point and concise with your words, and like always leaving those nuggets of wisdom for me to grow and grab more and seek further. And so it's like every time I see you, say, even though I may have changed, you've changed so much as well and grown so much more nicer and kinder and wiser and like said more understanding. And so like I just thank you for being you. Thank you for
All
helping
right, cool.
me.
Thank you, Uncle.
Now I have to tell you guys something that you may not know about Source over there. He only lives about an hour from me. He was one of the
Okay.
first people that I met on TikTok. And in the beginning of January, we're going to a drum circle together up in Austin.
Nice. Beautiful. All right, cool. So before I move on to Eddie, if I can have just a moment to explain something to, I think is where is she? DG Chaos. So the round table is my concept of here is your life and aspect, or not only a here is your life, but where I sit with practitioners, individuals who have made a profound impact on TikTok and in different communities who are doing the work. It could be tarot cards, it could be they are a practitioner, whatever they're into, aspect of spirituality, whatever they're doing. It could just be also inspirational speaking. They're just going live and speaking inspirational stuff and or motivational some topics. And they're really doing the work and making an effort. I would seek them out and ask them if they would be on the round table where I get to sit with them and find out who they are, who's the person behind the profile, their upbringing, if they had a spiritual awakening, all these different things, and then speak about the aspect of who is the person who on the profile, what brought them to TikTok and all these different things, what was their encouragement, what was the vision they had, and all these different things coming to TikTok and doing the work. If they have seen some sort of negativity on TikTok, we discuss if there's a pros and cons or some sort of conflict. Is there a resolution that they think that will work in that aspect? Then I mention people that would be their peers, people that they know. What comes to the mind when I mention these individuals? I then bring these people up so they can give their flowers to the individual themselves, because they get to say what they think of that person and what impact they have had. So this is what the round table is. So Saralyn is actually on number 10. 9 was with Robin. 8 was with me. I was the guest on that, where Alien T, Pika, and Saul was the host. 7 was with Saul. 6 was with Blissful Awakening. And they are on YouTube. All the ones I have so far are on YouTube itself, uploaded in its entirety, so you can go and watch the whole live. This one after, by Monday or so, I will be uploading this one to YouTube also. All right, so at the top of the end of the live, I have an announcement to make also. So, Eddie, my brother, sorry for that delay. Sorry for explaining so much. Floor is yours.
Tantra Child, thank you so much.
Not a problem.
Hi, Saralyn. How you doing? What a
I'm
night.
well.
This is a soothing night for you. It's a special night as far as some fun ideas that make me smile, and I have that in common with you. My name's Ed. There's a man named Ed Warren and Lorraine Warren, and sometimes when Saralyn and I, use our imaginations, we talk about things that have stories connected to them, and I love that about her. I love her as a friend. I've talked to her one-on-one more than once as a friend. Timelines now, I go in episodes, so I've known her for 196 episodes, I think, of AT's wonderful, there was a time, 196 episodes, Saralyn, myself, Azrael, Christopher, and a handful of others were 100% dedicated to the show. We were disciples of AT's mission, and we saw in him what he could and is and continues to and will continue to do. So proud of you, AT. And Charlton Heston's a good-looking guy from the Ten Commandments, I must say. But I try to say, for the time when it started, I found someone I could communicate with, not fact check. I don't have to Google Sarah, as was said by Cassie. I know what she says is true, not because of psychic resonance and it resonates as truth, because she's right. She has dedication, discipline. She has done this. She continues to do this. And I love you, Sarah, and thank you for being here. Nobody doesn't like Sarah Lynn, I think is what that was trying to get to. But thank you for that time to express how
Thanks, Eddie.
awesome Sarah Lynn, invaluable she is to our individual commitments to our X-Men Unison. You know, I've got a little Doctor Strange in me. Sometimes I feel I got some stuff I need to work on and not deny so much of my path. Sarah Lynn, to me, man, she is more of, oh man, I'm gonna get back to you on that, but she's so important to the cause. Thank you for your time.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Sigma?
Thanks for the invite, Tantra.
No, not a problem.
Um, this kind of stuff is hard for me. Sarah Lynn, thank you for being there for me. There's a few times that we got to speak one-on-one, and I got to be a little bit more myself. I tend to be pretty guarded at times, and we really connected on the fact that you are into dragons like I am. So that's really cool to connect on that level, because there's not very many people I come across that get that stuff. And you have this energy of like all this wisdom and stuff that you bring forward is something that resonates as a very ancient soul. And I think there's something about that resonates with me as well. And I feel that there's like a connection there somewhere. Hard to put into words, but definitely you're a huge contributor to this community. And I've come across we cross paths in different lives, and I always get lots from what you share within the community. I love how you can be so able to be so neutral and deliver what you need to say. And I aspire to try and be more like that for myself even. Yeah, and you have such a way with words, so I really admire your strengths and your abilities, and I hope to get to know you a little further as I walk this path and on this journey with everyone else in this room and other people listening. Yeah, much love and gratitude.
Thank you, Sigma.
Well, I think Beth's connection is giving a problem, so let's bring somebody else up.
I didn't even know she left.
Yeah, so let's bring up Chaos.
Hi, I'm so excited.
Well, you will have, you could, if you want, you could give Sarah her flowers.
Yes, I'm here for it. So Sarah and I have interacted periodically, just like here and there. And I don't know, like a week ago, was it like a week ago? Maybe a week and a half ago? We started talking privately, and boy, the wealth of knowledge in that human, man. It's no joke. Like this, it's like if you understand or have an understanding of, or even have ever heard of the Akashic record, like I feel like it's all locked inside that brain, and like I question everything. But if she says something, I'm like, yeah, probably I'm wrong. Probably you're right. Like I'm cool. I'm cool off of it. I'm not gonna question because there aren't, and I don't mean this like I got a fat head kind of way, but like I check my facts generally. You know what I mean? Like, but the one person I'm not going to against is her, and then she's going to prove me wrong. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I do it this one time? She makes me push myself. And a lot of people don't make me push myself. So I appreciate that more than I can really explain, because it's something that I have really wanted for a long time. And she understands the things that I do in a way that nobody has thus far. And so sorry about that. My And so I really just appreciate your time and energy, whether it's on here or oh, she would have them, or in private. Like I really like you helped my friend a lot the other day. Like you're really an amazing soul, and you're not like overly like you do good for yourself, and then you do good for everybody. You know what I mean? And I love that. I love that about you. I don't know. I feel like a fangirl right now. It's kind of weird, but here we are.
Thanks,
I love your
Susie.
face. You're the best.
Thank you.
All right, cool, cool, lovely, beautiful. So at this point, we will now allow the panel to ask Saralyn, my guest, the guest on the round table, one particular question, right? One particular question that they would like to get an answer to, something that they never asked before, based on something they would have seen when she's doing her life or the way she carries about herself, something that they would have liked to ask her. So at this point, they get that chance to ask her that particular question that they may have wanted to ask but didn't get a chance to ask. And we will start with Alien T.
Can I do a two-part question?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. The first
Once it's okay, wait, hold up. Once it's okay with the guest of honor, I'm okay with it.
Okay. Hopefully everyone's okay with this. The first part of my question is, how old do I really look like?
It was a cross between Noah and
no.
Moses.
As a child, you've said enough. Okay, I'm joking. Here's the question. And really, it's kind of like buying a gift for someone who has everything. What do you ask if they're in? And we've been together on so many lives, and I rely on her so much. I've asked her so many questions. The only thing I can come up with, Saralyn, have you ever believed or felt intuitively something was true and then found out later that you were wrong?
I wouldn't say that I felt something was true intuitively and found out that it was wrong, but I found out more so that there is a different perspective to that as well, so that it wasn't the whole truth.
Of course, I get that. Yes. I really don't have any other questions. Thank you.
All right. Chaos.
Oh man, I need a minute. I just asked her all the questions the other day. We were like on the phone for like 5 hours. I have no idea. Can I go last possibly?
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Robin.
Okay, so I've been debating on it's between two questions. And so I'm going to let you choose which one you want to answer. So what would be the hardest thing that you think that you've grown through in your spiritual journey? And then the other question would have been, what, if anything, is the thing that you would want or wanted to do that you didn't get to do yet?
I think the hardest thing I've grown through is learning how to balance everything in my life. Learning how to balance family, work, and spirituality without giving less to any of them. And that's hard. And something that I want to do, I'll know when I get there.
Beautiful. Cassie.
It was hard for me to decide because I had a question in mind, but then I keep wanting to ask about the doll, but I don't feel like that's me telling me to ask about the doll. So we're going to ignore it just a second. I'm like, stop. Okay. My question is, do you have any specific knowledge or connection personally to the Sphinx?
I do resonate with them. I've had several meditation experiences with them. And I believe they're more of a tribute to a specific type of entity than just a statue.
All right. Beautiful.
Uncle Sauce.
Really, so
You
my
started
question.
it.
I didn't know. I didn't know. I want to say my question would be like, is there a connection about yourself that you haven't found or discovered about yourself yet?
Well, I mean, I'm sure there are. There's many connections that we form and that we have throughout different stages of our life because they're necessary for growth. So I'm sure, and I look forward to exploring them for sure.
Gotcha. Okay, okay. That's all I have, Mr. Thompson.
All right, Eddie.
All right, let's try and get outside my. So, Sarah, let's say I've witnessed someone just like you. This question pertains to someone just like you, almost exactly like you. I've witnessed this person in different lives be responsive to the situation in different ways, always controlled, always mindful, using perspective and perception and getting a calm place before speaking. And then I've witnessed this person then stop talking. And I've witnessed this person sort of giggle inside, and they're holding a giggle in themselves, like something might be inside a voice talking, trying to make them laugh while you're being mindful and being like, all right, now's the time for me to make space for this to be responded to, that I've done my effort of making the blankets and the sheets look tidy on the bed, kind of get some wrinkles out. Let's start again, see what happens. And you're witnessing this voice in your head, or a companion, or yourself, who someone maybe just like you. I mean, and when did you notice this person when you were young? Did this person ever get you in trouble? Did it often make you do things that were a little, I know I shouldn't do this, but it gave you the guts to do? And if that was a question to someone like you, how would you answer if that was you?
I would say that if you're probably dealing with a split personality or what I call an all kind of spiritual level, and absolutely they are part of you and they can cause you to do things that maybe are unfavorable. But there are ways of dealing with that. And if you need help with that, certainly, or if you know anybody that does, certainly reach out to me. I do help with those situations.
Oh, okay. Well, I do not hear voices on a medical level, I guess, but I just feel you have such a funny, humorous side, which was not represented right there at all in the response I did not expect from you, Saralyn, but thank you for saying that. I love you too. And I'm always open to some help. I'm probably due for a Sarah session. The one person on TikTok, one person has given Eddie a reading and a zodiac and a reading. One individual on TikTok, and that's Saralyn, the only one ever, ever. So that being said, for myself, I trust her wholeheartedly. So I take that to heart what you said. So the playful inner spirit that you carry, though, how do you keep it? Like, I know that you know so much, and when you know as much as you do, things are just so fun and funny. Like everything's like, oh, turns into.
I think I know what you're saying now.
Okay.
You you have to kind of take it as a mother would with a child. When somebody says something, when a child says something that is funny because you kind of know what they're going to say, or they don't understand, and you kind of laugh in your head. If you laugh at that child, they're not going to learn that lesson. They're going to think fun and games. So you have to keep that controlled. But there's always a time and a space to release that energy. And you have to just find it. There are lives that I go into that are super humorous. Go to Darius's live sometimes. So Vessel up there, we have so much fun in that live sometimes. But sometimes it's serious. So it depends on the space. That's how we alter who we are and how we perform in that space to give what is necessary and needed for the people that are present.
I personally resonate with that, and something I've worked on and still continue to forever probably work on as part of my dynamic. Thank you for Sarah, Lynn, everybody, God. Thank you for Sarah, Lynn.
Thanks, Eddie.
Beautiful. Sigma.
How many dragons do you work with?
I work with hundreds of dragons. I have two different. There's two different types of dragon magic. There's ceremonial magic, and then magic that isn't ceremonial. Magic that isn't ceremonial, you work with rogue dragons. So they're dragons that are not affiliated with any specific group of dragons or any clutch of dragons or whatever you'd want to call them, colony. And they kind of do their own thing, and they come and go as they wish. I work with a lot of those, but there are also, when you get into the higher levels of dragon magic and draconic magic, you do what's called ceremonial magic, and that requires the working with a specific or several different specific groups where the dragons are in one place at one time, and they kind of have a working relationship with each other, and there can be hundreds of dragons in a clutch. So it just depends on what type of magic I'm working with specifically.
Awesome. Are you allowed to name any of them?
Some of the ones used in ceremonial magic, what they call guide dragons, which would lead you to some of these cities of dragons, if you want to call them that, can be named. But a personal dragon and a dragon that you know that is not open to working with the public at large should never be named. One of the dragons that you can name is Terrafana. She works very specifically with the element of earth, although dragons can work with all elements.
Awesome. Thank you. I really appreciate your insights. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Chaos.
Ha, I got a good one. What's next?
Well, we're going to have a rune reading after I'm done with this.
Oh, that's cute. You're cute. I mean, big picture, friend. You didn't think I was going to let you off that easy.
What's next? That is dependent on many factors. What's next is dependent on population and where we go as a whole. Individually, we each have different sets of paths, but collectively, we have also different types of paths. And we can't know what's next before the decision is made. Definitely, there is going to be some vibrational shifts. Definitely, there is going to be some changes on a societary level. And I think we're going towards the path of being more spiritual, being more open, being more willing to want to learn and experience this. But it's going to require a loss of holding on to some of the ideology that we're not quite ready to let go with yet. Oh, and Cassie, my birthday is November 30th.
Nice, cool. Before we move on to I have a request to the panel. I would like to bring back up Beth because she was having connectivity issues. So if there's anyone, cool. Thank you, sweetie.
I volunteer because I have to prepare. I'm going live in an hour.
Oh, yes. I will be there. Before you go, Alien, to you, what is your live tonight again?
I'm in a game tonight. It's called Hot Seat.
Hot Seat. Interesting.
Kind of like, yeah. That's the name of the game. Would you like a sample question?
I'm good for now.
Okay.
I like to test before I jump into something. Just curious.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
T?
So this Friday, and then next Friday is my last live for this year, and I'll be back in the new year. So thank you.
Cool.
I'm coming to this one, T. So I want number 2, but not before Sarah.
All right. So before you go, into I just have one request. I have 2 things. One, I got an extra box open. If anyone else from the conversation would like to come up and give Sarah her flowers and ask her a question. All right. So, sweetie, I know you came in. So 2 things you got to do. You give what you think about saralyn, and then you have a question to ask her. Any question that you would have wanted to ask her that you didn't get time to ask her on any of her lives, you could. Right? If you're okay with that. If there's anyone else who wants to come up, I got extra space. Just hit the request and I'll bring you guys up. All right. So before Alien T goes, just to more or less put this out there. Next, as he said that next week Friday is his last live. So next week Tuesday is going to be my last round table for the year. And that is going to be the 11th round table for the year. It was eventually scouted to be Pika, my Harley Quinn, but we all know our sister is not 100% as yet, and we are praying for her. She is recovering. I spoke to her today. She sounds much better, but she's coming along. So next week, I'm going to have the intuitive individual who loves to chop wood and tote water, right? That humble of a soul, I'm going to have Humble Hollow. She's going to be the 11th guest on the round table, and she's going to be the last guest before the last guest before the end of the year. She's going to be the last person. So next week at 8 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday would be the last edition of the round for the year, which is the 11th edition, and it's going to be Humble Hollow. All right. So at this point, I would let I will let you give your flowers to Sarah. After that, I would let Beth ask her question, which will give you time to formulate your question, if you're okay with that. All right, cool. Then the floor is yours. Yeah. Yes, you.
Hi. How are you, love? Sarah, so if I was like sitting at your, like, I guess is what we're kind of doing here, I would say you're a sharp little cookie, and I appreciate our beautiful 3-hour phone conversation that one night, and that you showed me all the, how to, if we did not have that conversation first, with all the dolls that are in it. Let's move forward. But just the dynamic of who you are as an individual, the stories that you showed, the tenacity that you have when you put your intention into something, you follow it through. I don't believe a lot of people do that. So I don't really know. I mean, I know you know how I feel about you briefly, but I would say about how I feel about you as a human being, like, I genuinely think you're a badass, and I wouldn't have even thought about that. No offense or anything, like whatever, but because our conversation, what you like, I would have never pinned you for that, but only because you seem. And it's not like you guys, by the way, like when you're hyper focused on your family, like people seem kind or whatever, but I was just like, this didn't make sense. But when she told me what she had done, and she was like, yeah, I did that. It's like, that is badass. You have street cred, and I'm from Chicago, so like, yeah. So I mean, are those your flowers? I don't know. I would say I'd put them, if there was like a box, like what's your favorite memory of Sarah? If you were passing forward, like I'd be like, dude, you told me a crazy ass story. That's the reason why I have mad respect for her. Oh, yeah. Because it's not even for me. It was more of a personal level because it's really hard to navigate being hyperly connected to spirit and also like being normal. So it's just it's a multitask that she is doing great at. So.
Oh, thank you, Jingly jangly.
All right, beautiful. So at this point, Beth, you can ask a question that you would have liked to ask, and then I will let ask a question that she might want an answer to from Sarah.
I've thought about this for a long time. So, what has been the most challenging part of integrating into, like, I know you're originally a psychological background, you know? What has been the most difficult part about integrating your communication into the spiritual world?
See, I was in the spiritual world before I started psychology, so it would have been the other way around. It was hard to take the spirituality and put it into the psychology world. That was difficult for me. I've always been a spiritual person. I've always implored myself to learn on that degree. So for me, it was allowing myself to understand the psychology without the spirituality and then putting them together. That was the hardest thing for me, understanding that science doesn't have the answer for everything. And does spirituality, because there's much that is not revealed to us. That was the hardest part for me.
That was perfect. Thank you. Because I knew you would show that separation in order to unify. That was beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you.
Beautiful question. Awesome answer.
my phone's falling off the thing. I'm like, what? I don't know why I'm like dodging it. It's like it's on the desk. All right, Saralyn, I hope you're having a good day.
I am.
I hope everyone's having a good day, and that's awesome to honor. So that's really cool, TC, that you're doing that for her, or for everybody that you do it with. I guess I had a couple questions, but I guess I would ask, like, when being in a space where you are working with people all the time that may or may not have the best intentions for themselves, and then coming home and being a mom with multiple children, I would ask you, like, how do you give yourself a hug?
Well, I'm not overly fond of touch personally, so what I do is I go to the spa. That's my hug. My hug is going to the spa. Once a month, that's what I do. That's self-care, self-love for me. I go and get a salt scrub, get a massage, and get acupuncture and cupping therapy done. And that to me is the best thing to do.
My question is what do you do when you don't have those resources, when it's just SL?
Meditation. I do a lot of meditation and a lot of reading that really helps to keep me grounded and understand where I am.
You remind yourself of who you are.
Yes, I do.
I appreciate you. Thanks, Cece, for helping me out.
Not a problem. So normally, Saralyn, normally I would allow the guests to end their life, which you will begin to. I always give all my guests that opportunity to say their last thank yous and so forth in their life. But at this point, I want to take to thank you thoroughly for and humbly for accepting. Having you was an accomplishment for me, because we always go back to the first time we met, the interaction we had, the dialogue, and that paradigm shift that connected us will always be something that I will remember. And every interaction we had when I was struggling, that things that only you know, you were there as a friend, you were there as a sister. When I was doing my stuff as Tantra Child, when I now started to go live, you made it your duty to come, even if just you're alone on a panel, to sit down and ask questions and have dialogues and, just made things perfect where I was. And you helped me to settle when I was doing my stuff. And for that, I can never repay you. I can never stop thanking you for that. I want to thank you for all the things that you have done for this community and the other communities that you're a part of. And we hope and pray that you continue to do that and you grow from strength to strength, because we need people like you in the community. We do need people like you in the community. All right. I want to thank everyone that came on the panel today. All right. Everybody who came on the panel today, all those who had their flowers to give to her, all those who had their questions, even the ones who pissed me off by calling me Mister. I think I'll call them auntie or uncle when I roll up in their life, just saying. But thank you all who came and contributed to this. It was worth it, because Saralyn needed this. Just like Om had to ask her, how do you give yourself a hug? This was an aspect of that. Every round table, a part of it is like, we are giving you a hug for the things you do. And this is our way of saying to you, thank you for what you do, showing our appreciation to you. All right. So at this time, floor is yours, my dear.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure. I think helping the community is what we all need to focus on. I mean, certainly we need to focus on aspects of self as well. Self-love, self-care, but the combination of working on yourself, making sure you're in a good place, and helping the community is what's essential for life.
Yep, very much. Very much, very much true. Right. That's it. Any more thing? Anyone you want to thank or show appreciation to before
Oh,
we
I
call
think
it?
everybody said such kind words. I have so many friends here on TikTok. I love you all.
Right. So, to everyone who is not aware, this live will be posted up by Monday for the latest, if not by Tuesday when I'm off. This will be uploaded to YouTube. If you go to my link into my bio, the link is there for the YouTube, or you could just go to YouTube and look up Tantra Child, and you will see them. You will see the roundtables that I have uploaded so far. This one will be added to that. Tuesday coming is the 11th edition of it. It's the last one before the year ends, because it would have been somewhere in between Christmas time, and I know a lot of people will be busy with family and so forth. Ooh, cute dog, right? So my guest on that 11th edition is going to be Humble Hollow. She's going to be the last guest on the roundtable for the year 2024. There's a lot of individuals that is lined up for the new one. If you are willing, somewhere down the road, I would like to sit with you on the round table. I have seen you live. It is very profound, is very in tune in aspect, is very inspirational. The individuals that you have dialogues with is very deep, and I would love to take a walk through that mind of yours, if you would allow it, somewhere in the near future.
Oh, you're muted, sweetie.
Yeah, but it's not like, I think that's such a great, you have to have a conversation first, my friend. But I'm humbled, like, no pun intended, for your next thing. I did that. Humbled that you would ask me. And I am grateful. And I really am grateful that you would even consider me on yourself. I know how you are a peaceful person that is on a mission that super exceeds a lot of things I've ever seen on TikTok. And as someone that's a peer of yours, I'm really proud of you for what you're up to, Ted.
Thank you.
So,
thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I would have to have a conversation with you first. So,
yeah, of course.
Y'all don't get to school me that one night on a Friday and make me cry. We're good. So I didn't agree. I don't even think. But thank you for the appreciate it.
I will, don't worry, in the new year, I will reach out. We will have a conversation. And again, at that time, you are willing and you're game, we'll do it. Right? But thank you. All right. So at this time, I will bring the curtain down on this edition of the Roundtable. Again, thank you to my esteemed guests. It was an honor. It was a privilege, my sister, my friend, to doing this. Soon, one day, you and I are going to sit we're going to sit in checkmate, and you and I are going to play a game of chess. You and I are going to play a game of chess. Right. So to everyone that was here tonight, thank you again for your support. Thank you for your love and making the Roundtable something that is something to aspire to, something that a lot of people want to be a part of, because it brings the community together for us to understand the individuals that is a part of our community. It brings us to show our love and affection for them and so forth. So for everyone too who had messaged me before and have recommended certain individuals, I have taken their names into consideration. I am observing what they do and so forth. I will be reaching out to you guys to understand from a personal perspective why it is you would like to see that person on the roundtable. How has that person impacted you or the community? And based on that, I will move forward. So everyone who has done that, thank you. And the individuals that you are on a list. So based on our conversation, I will make my decision in that aspect. But again, thank you for making the roundtable something to aspire to and something that is looked upon and respected. With that, I say good night, everyone, and blessings to you all. All right. Good night. All right. All right. Good night.